Today on TLC Live, Artificial Intelligence and Politics, what is ChatGPT? The good, the bad, and the ugly uses of machine learning in elections campaigns. Joining us on this trendy topic, Ernesto Verdugo, international speaker and author of the AI Whispers Code, and Dr. Carlos Monroy, assistant professor, University of St. Thomas, whose research included data and text mining, machine learning, and data science. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to TLC Live. I'm Andrea Gomez, and today I'm honored to have a guest, my friend and co-host of the day, Ernesto Verdugo. Orlando Sanchez have the day off.
Yeah, I'm happy to fill in. I'm very excited about this conversation because it's really hot.
It's really hot. It's really trendy. We've been hearing about artificial intelligence for the last probably 5-6 years or maybe before, but I think became a really trendy topic in November last year when they launched ChatGPT. But what is ChatGPT? Not everybody knows about it. We've been listening and hearing on the news and reading everywhere. And now many people are bringing like classes and get to know and conference about ChatGPT. But what it is and what is the connection that we can use artificial intelligence in politics. So today, Ernesto, you're going to help us to navigate that because you're being really isolated from the world for the last month, trying to understand what is ChatGPT, try to understand and try to communicate with the machine, because it's not only understand the concept of ChatGPT, but also learn how to talk to the machine, how to communicate with the machine to get the best results. So for that also, we're inviting today Dr. Carlos Monroy, is an assistant professor of University of St. Thomas, who's been researching all of these things about data and text mining, machine learning, and data science, and also, of course, is very well known now with the topic of ChatGPT and artificial intelligence. Welcome to TLC, Professor. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Andrea. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Ernesto. Great meeting you for the first time. I'm really excited to talk about this, as Ernesto was saying, really hot topic, very interesting. That is, it's and will change a lot of the ways in which not only we act, but actually how we live and how we conduct things in the near future. So I'm very excited to be here.
Absolutely. So we have the United Nations here, Colombia, Mexico, Guatemala, and we're going to talk about your background, Professor. That is very interesting, getting to know you too. So Ernesto, let's start with you. We've been talking about this at the beginning of the year, ChatGPT, and you start saying, okay, this is going to change, like the professor says, the way that we live, we act, we interact, and we communicate. And in the future, the way that we're going to professional perform. So tell us about it.
Well, I mean, I think this is a technology that is going to affect more our lifestyle than anything else in our entire lifetime. November 30th, 2022, when ChatGPT was actually released to the public, it was a date that everybody will remember. At least everybody which has been involved into these artificial intelligence things. Basically, ChatGPT, it's a module where you can actually have interaction with a machine, like with human language. I mean, in the past, you had to have a programmer, you need to be a coder in order to be able to get the computer to do what you want. Right now, with what it's called generative artificial intelligence, you are able to communicate by simply typing in human language, and it not only in English, in basically almost every language, you will be able to communicate whatever you want to do with the machine, and that's basically what it is all about. Now, the important thing that everybody needs to understand is that if we are not, I mean, it's not like this is a trend. It's not like NFTs or crypto or that kind of thing. Right now, the most important minds in tech in the world, I'm talking about the Bill Gates, I'm talking about the Sergey Brin and Larry Page from Google, I'm talking about Jeff Bezos. Everybody's involved into this, and they are investing their fortunes on it. So anybody that doesn't think that this is going to have a major shift in the way that we live, better think again.
Uh, I'm gonna go with the professor because I wanna give our viewers a perspective. ChatGPT launched in November, but artificial intelligence existed before. So, explain to us what is the connections, the artificial intelligence before, and then the how it started the ChatGPT.
It's a great question. So the fundamentals of artificial intelligence actually goes back to the 50s. So in the 1950s, there were some research conducted about how the brain works, try to understand how we create different mindsets, how we understand things, and how we speak, for example. But back then, there were two main problems. Number one was that there was not enough data in order to understand how this process is working in a brain. And second, there was not enough computing power, meaning we didn't have super powerful computers in order to model these activities and these behaviors. But the fundamentals were established back in the 50s. As technology started evolving and computers became more powerful and there were more data being generated, especially with the introduction of the internet, then those two limitations were overcome. So the companies start seeing the potential of using this data in order to build models. And what a model really is to do a representation about something. And they start seeing, okay, how is that we learn as human? So we as humans, we learn by experience. And the way actually that happens is that you start seeing things, and as you become more familiar with certain things, your way of learning about them improves. So, for example, as a child start walking, at the beginning, maybe it's going to fall, but eventually it's going to walk. We don't have those rules in our brain, but rather it's through experience that we learn about that. So, as Ernesto was saying, these new systems, so like ChatGPT, instead of having the rules already written in advance, what is that they learn based on the different scenarios that they are presented with, all the different topics, and then they are going to adapt to those conversations, for example. So that's the reason why you can use ChatGPT to talk about pretty much anything, and the system is intelligent enough in order to answer to you as if you were speaking with a human being. So that is the to some extent the trajectory or the journey of artificial intelligence in the past.
And you say something very key. You need to talk to the machine as you're talking to the human being. And with Ernesto, we're having the conversation. It's not just the technology is amazing, but you need to know how to talk to the machine like you need to know how to talk to the human being. You cannot talk to a human being expecting, if you talk bad to the person, if you talk aggressive to the person, you're going to expect the same results. So it's the same with the machine. You need to learn how to talk to the machine. You've been spending, I think, a month, a little bit over a month, trying to understand how to talk to the machine. You discover so many things that even that saying good morning, you discovered a name of the machine. I mean, it's been incredible that it make you also write a book along with the machine or with the chat GPT that we're going to talk about the book later. But tell us what has been your experience, because you're really isolated for 3 weeks or 4 weeks,
Yeah.
trying to learn how to the language with the machine, how to talk to the machine, and thus is the result of the book.
Yeah, well, I mean, I started using ChatGPT on December 2nd, which was actually 2 days after they started working at it. In the beginning, I just thought it was cute. I thought it was interesting. And then I started realizing, well, this is crazy. I've never seen anything like this. And but this my level of awareness of how everything worked with artificial intelligence was not enough to comprehend the monumental change that this will imply. And then while playing on it, it was a Sunday afternoon, and then one of the things that I said was, can you teach me? I asked the name of my assistant is Lucy. That's because of course, as they say, if you want to treat the person if you want to
The
treat the
machine.
artificial intelligence, the machine as a person, the responses are much better. So that's why you have Alexa, that's why you have Siri, that's why you have every single one has a name. And the incredible thing is that you can also call her by a name. It's a female always, and
That's another thing. Why is a female?
I think because females are more intelligent than men.
Okay,
So
thank God. Yes, finally, a machine are saying that.
so yeah, what happens is that you start talking. So I started talking to Lucy, and one of the things that I asked Lucy was, "Can you help me write a New York Times best-selling book?" And she said, "Sure, absolutely, not a problem." So she started actually telling me, "Well, if you actually see all the different New York Times best-selling books, these are the things which are in common, and this is the kind of book that you need to write, and you need to write a novel." And then, I started not just asking questions for the sake of asking questions. I actually started having an intelligent conversation with an artificial intelligence human that, of course, has superpowers.
Wow.
And that's how the whole thing started. And I mean, with her help, I was able to write an incredibly compelling book teaching people what is called prompt engineering, which is exactly what it is talking about. Talking with the computers is exactly the same as learning another language. I mean, if you speak Spanish and you want to learn Portuguese, there's a lot of similarities,
Yeah.
but there's still some things that you need to learn. Same thing happens with Italian. So there's a lot of similarities because they're Latin languages, but you need to know the nuances and how to do these whole things. That's exactly prompt engineering. Now, what makes it even more interesting is that the moment that you know how to craft a prompt correctly, you can actually sell that prompt to someone else. There's a website that is called Prompt Base where you can sell and buy prompts that you have created already for the artificial intelligence.
Wow. So, Professor Monroy, this show and Texas Latino Conservatives is a political action committee. Also, we have a nonprofit under the political action committee. Of course, we helping all the time, are supporting and engaging and educating our community to run for office. So let's talk about how artificial intelligence and ChatGPT will play a big role from now on in campaigns, in politicians, and in the presidential campaign that is going to be in 2024. How is that going to change the game if the people the people that are running for offices know how to use this? They find strategies that is going to help them to navigate this system and help them to engage the community or their target community or the whole country in case of presidential elections.
That's a great question. The way I will start addressing this question is thinking in terms of how one of the aspects of this technology, which is really optimizing resources and improve performance, so how you perform better at something. And I will use the metaphor of how automation started in manufacturing, when you start having robots to do manufacturing. And the idea will be, well, what happens if I am the company who is the first one to know exactly how to better use these robots in order to manufacture some goods, cars, for instance, which is one of the areas in which manufacturing, robotics in manufacturing was first used. So in this case, we are talking about this technology that is super advanced and that can have a tremendous impact on different aspects in political campaigns. So I will name a couple. One would be in fundraising. So in fundraising, one of the goals that you have is, okay, how can I target the people who are most likely to contribute best to a particular campaign? So with these technologies, you can actually create very sophisticated profiles in such a way that you are not only a passive entity in this process, but rather you're actually interacting with this system to telling you, for instance, how to craft better campaigns, because you are trying to again optimize the possible contributions of these your potential voters in this campaign. So fundraising is one. The second is to persuade voters. So again, as a political campaign, what they want is to try to persuade voters depending on different themes or different topics that are the most crucial, most important for them. So we are again moving from a passive attitude in which I will probably have a list of those topics. Rather, I will have a conversational approach with this system that can tell me, for example, based on the different profiles that I have of the voters, how can I better approach them? How can I craft better messages for these voters? And something that is important is that we have to keep in mind that the we as humans act is that we don't have necessarily the same topic or the same the importance of the topics are the same over time. They will change. So this system can also help us to how to adapt those messages to better target people depending on how our interests are changing, how we rank or how we come across different topics that eventually are more important than others. So again, we are moving from being passive members in this environment, be more active because these systems allow that.
I wanted you guys, both of you, give me your thoughts on this to understand the difference because we've been doing for the last, I don't know, 10 years probably since social media started booming. We've been doing a lot of Google ads. We've been doing a lot of geofence ads, meaning that we're like looking for in a specific target and a specific audience, following their behaviors, things like that. What is the difference between that and the artificial intelligence that we're seeing these days and with also with ChatGPT that the campaigns can utilize?
Well, there's a couple of things that we need to take into consideration. So first of all, I actually put together 5 points, and it's interesting, Professor, that we actually agree in both of them. You actually mentioned a couple of them. So the first one is the prediction. I mean, you can be incredibly accurate predicting what's going to happen because what you do is you take all the data points, every single thing that you can think of, you can put them there, and you can predict very well what is the sentiment, which you cannot do with Google Ads. That's one of the big keys. So if you take all this information and then you put it into the machine learning, then what will happen is oh my goodness, these are the things which are pressing my prospective voters, and then what's going to happen is your message will be a lot more accurate. I am so much to say that right now, especially the presidential campaigns coming up, whoever gets on their team, because I know that possibly it's not going to be the candidate themselves, but whoever gets on their
Under the strategic team.
strategic team, somebody that harnesses the power of artificial intelligence, that's going to be the next president.
Your thoughts, Professor?
I agree with that. With that point, and we have to keep in mind that the use of technology and especially big data and analytics in political campaigns is not actually new. I did some. I was very curious in the 2016 election about the use of data in the campaign because it was a surprising election in the end. And I found out there was a very interesting press conference by the RNC that is public on C-SPAN, in which they explained their strategy, their data analytics and big data strategy, and it was quite impressive. But it started actually in 2008 and 2012. Okay, so there are the Obama campaigns also, they use very effective technologies. But again, here I'm pointing out to how the evolution of technologies makes it more powerful, the impact that they will have. And as Ernesto is saying, now with ChatGPT, then you have a bigger impact that you can have. So the I believe that absolutely understanding very well how to use these technologies more effectively will have a better impact on the campaigns. Number one, because again, you can better target your audience, so you can understand better the as Ernesto was saying, the sentiments or what are the most pressing issues of your audience, and then you can craft and target better campaigns for them. So I believe that absolutely this technology is going to have a big impact moving forward.
So far, we've been talking about the big impact, the positive side. What it will be the negative side, because it can also be, it has the pros, it has the cons. And, we always say, if this world we use all the skills and all the power and all the technology in a good way, we will be in la la land, in everything beautiful. Unfortunately, it's not like that. So what will be the cons on this technology? And I want you guys both give me the thoughts.
Yeah, well, the worst part of it are biases, because whatever the artificial intelligence has been fed, so that actually it will start getting conversation. So what happens is you can have, whether it is from the left, whether it is from the right, whether it is some racial biases, whether it is some nationality biases or ethnicity biases. If there's some sort of those things happening, what will happen is, of course, I mean, there will be different answers and different responses to what it is. So we have to be vigilant, and this is something that, for example, the reason why Google missed the boat in because they had the technology, they had all the information to launch a ChatGPT like kind of robot, but they missed it. Why did they miss it? Because they were very afraid of the biases.
They dropped the ball.
They
on
dropped
that.
the ball. They dropped the ball. But what happens is, and this is exactly what ChatGPT is doing, immediately, if you identify that there's a bias, flag it. Flag it immediately, because of course they're trying to keep all the biases completely as neutral as they possibly can, which of course is very good, because of course you want to make sure that this is one of the things that I really like about this, that everybody's saying, doesn't matter who it is, whether it is Tim Cook, whether it is Bill Gates, whoever it is, let's use this technology for the good of humanity.
Yeah.
And that is what I think is very, very nice about it.
Professor?
I think, yeah, definitely bias is going to be a big problem, because again, depending on what type of data you use in order to train, which is the technical term, or to build these systems, they will be trending in one particular way. So that is one problem. I think that there is also a much deeper issue here, and is the way in which we as humans live, and exactly how we think, what is the behavior and our processes. So, for example, if in the past, in order to write, for example, a book, or write an article, a scientific article, in fact, there has been some discussions in a very important scientific journal about the fact that maybe I can use ChatGPT to write my scientific article. So two things here. Number one is that plagiarism? Is that in some way in which I'm actually cheating the system? But on the other hand, is limiting my human, could hinder my human abilities in order to think and to craft an idea. On the other hand, on the positive side, it could also help me as a tool in order to improve my idea. So we are in the early stages, but we have this delicate balance between really taking away my human skills, more basic human skills on how I think, but also the positive side, which is, well, that tool can help me in order to improve my skills. So I think that is something that people are concerned about the potential negative impacts of these technologies, and it's there to see, because again, it's a extremely recent technology, so we don't know exactly where we are gonna end with this.
It's been 15 years after, Facebook launch. I think it's 15, 18 years. So now we're seeing that parents and a lot of lawsuits in the federal level, because it's been impact in a negative way our kids, a lot of suicides, and a lot of bad things are going on with the social media if we don't know how to use it in the right way. And with teenagers, it's so difficult to manage. And now every time we're seeing kids younger and younger to use on social media. So now we're seeing the legislatures and the Congress people and the federal level trying to figure it out, how to put a law on this, how to put a legislation on this, how to put and stop on this, which is very difficult also. How do we see this in also artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, this system that now Google also came up with something similar, and now we're seeing more platforms coming out with something similar. So give us an insight of how do you guys visualize this?
Well, let's just try to put things into perspective. I mean, I have a slide. So hopefully, it will be showing here on screen in a moment, where you can see the growth of how it's going to go from the very beginning, which is right now, until all the way to 2030. 2031.
Yeah, we have
And
it here
yeah,
in the,
so
in
we
the
have it
screen.
here. So if you can see there, it's just basically gonna go exponentially. Now, the important thing about this, what you need to understand, is that until today, they were basically four or five players in the arena of technology. So we had the Googles of the world, we had the Amazons, we had the Facebooks, and that was basically the whole thing. Those were the guys that were handling everything. Right now, the playing field has been completely leveled. So right now, what it means is that every single person has the opportunity to start stacking technologies on top of each other. So it's not only knowing how to use ChatGPT, but you can use ChatGPT into putting into a video editor. You can put it into whatever it is. And that is the importance of getting to understand that this is a horizontal growth instead of a vertical growth, as Tim Cook from Apple was actually saying. And this, instead of actually going into one direction, there's going to be two people, which are going to be four people, which are going to be taking care of the entire world. What's going on is they are completely open to every single thing that there is. So, in my eyes, what needs to happen is we should not be afraid of being plagiarism or all these things happening. There's a lot of questions. That is what's going to happen with the legislation, what's going to be happening with all the different things which are hitting the entire world with all these new things from artificial intelligence. What we need to do is we need to understand, because the whole thing, it's about understanding, and that is about learning a language. I mean, if I would like to get myself into the American culture, I'm gonna learn every single thing. I mean, from baseball to football to barbecues to what is important for that specific culture. It's the same thing. You need to think like what is going on, like a culture. It should not be, stopped. Don't do it in the don't stop doing it in the schools or whatever. It has to be encouraged, because once again, all the kids which are entering right now into college, for example, 4 or 5 years from now, those jobs are not going to be there. So right now, the most important thing that people need to do is they need to learn how to talk the language, which is what it's called prompt engineering. You have to really learn that prompt engineering language. And that's going to make a big difference in how you end up in this biggest opportunity of our lifetime.
Professor?
So I think that it's a very complex situation, again, because it's in this case, specifically with ChatGPT, is a new technology in the way it is being used. So I think that there is going to be a lot of discussion regarding regulation, or companies coming up with some sort of like a manifest for how to use these technologies in a positive way. Because again, specifically this one is very, I think that is going to shift the way in which we actually live. If social media, for example, had already changed a lot behavior, this one is in particular even more, it's going to be more impactful. And just to give an example of the use of technology and some of the dangers of technology, say for example, like now with smartphones, when is the last time that you see a teenager actually speaking on the phone, like having a conversation on the phone with someone else? Because most of the time it's text. So
Snapchat,
initially
not
became
even a
exactly,
regular text. That I don't understand
exactly.
those things, but
Exactly. So it's a change, it's a shift in how we as humans interact with each other, and that has an impact in our well-being. So now we are moving into an arena in which, again, if I have an assignment, instead of writing an assignment, if maybe I'm running short on time, I'm just gonna ask GPT to help me with that. So could be again useful in order to give me an outline in the way that I would probably do some research at the library, but I can also use it for write the entire thing for me. So I think that the tech companies are actually going to be pressed in order to take action in how to have some safeguards for the public. Legislatures, the same thing, and the public. I think that there is going to be some people interested as stakeholders in order to raise some concerns about this. So again, it's what is going to happen is really hard to predict at this point. But I think that there has to be some way of balancing the good things about this technology and some of the potential dangers at the same time.
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a scary, because it's something that we don't know. I mean, it's really difficult to predict what is going to happen. Let's talk about education, that this is very important because not only, I mean, your son, we were talking about your son is going to start college in fall 2024. My kids, I have twins, they're going to start college 2023. They're already talking about ChatGPT. Actually, I find out about ChatGPT through my son. He was telling me about it, and he said, "Mom, it's so unbelievable, this technology." He was telling me, like, you can even break up over the text, and you can just ask the machine, tell me how to break up over the text. And I was like, no. So he's just showing me that, like, simple as those things, as writing a book as you did, it can be that big. So let's talk about education. What will be the challenge now, not only for a school from kinder to 12, but also for universities, college, and professors, and how to figure it out? What is the real essay from student, or it coming from ChatGPT? What is the real thing that the student is really learning, or is ChatGPT showing me and I'm grading ChatGPT or these kind of technologies? So I want your input on that, Professor.
Yeah, there is a lot of discussion in academia precisely about that problem and about the challenges that we as educators face, because it's going to be hard to say, actually, to tell, is this something that the student wrote, or is something that is being generated by an automatic system such as ChatGPT. One of the things that I do with this, that I tell the students, is that rather than to think in this way, why would you use ChatGPT? And telling them, I will challenge you to demonstrate that you have the skills, you have the potential to write, for example, this essay, or to write this algorithm, or to write this code on your own. You can use, of course, some help, but why are you going to lower your potential by using this tool? So again, there is this delicate balance into using this tool to help, to start kind of like writing something, as opposed to writing everything for you. But there is a lot of discussion. I know people, they put on their syllabus, that's what we give to the students at the beginning of the semester, disclaimers about what is permitted and what is not permitted with ChatGPT. I know that there are, again, scientific journals, they are already doing the same, because they are afraid of that, of someone, instead of writing an original article, of an original homework, is something that is generated by ChatGPT. But it's very challenging, and it's going to be very, very challenging.
And also a scary part, how far these technologies, these machines are going to start replacing us, because we already seeing it. We already seeing it, a lot of layoffs and a lot of changing of the industries. People are reinventing themselves, because what used to work for them is not anymore. And that's going to happen also in 5-10 years, which is how do we advise our kids, the kids that these days, what directions to go, you know?
Yeah, well, I think what I was listening to Professor Monroy, I was just thinking, well, it's quite interesting. Of course, you Professor, you are in a situation where things are going to change dramatically, and I believe that if we are acting in fear, and if we are acting oh my goodness, in an old paradigm, things are gonna not work well. What we need to do is, you know what? We have right now a complete new canvas.
So just go with the flow
Well,
and
it's
learn.
it's not really go with the flow. We need to understand, and this is, for example, what I think that that many people in the educational realm, they need to understand that instead of saying no, don't do it, or this is not allowed, or this should not be done, think of it exactly as a professor was saying, challenge them to use the machine to learn a lot more, to refine everything that they learned. Okay, so you know what? Instead of telling you, you should not use it, but then learn which questions to ask. Right now, I believe that education is going to go more into not give me the right answer, but give me the right question. And that is actually what is going to change the human experience. Why? Because, of course, what is the definition of thinking? The definition of thinking is the asking better questions, not getting better answers. I mean, the educational system has been obsolete for years.
Oh,
because
yeah.
all what they do is they train to see if you can actually remember the answers, which is completely useless. Right now, this is exactly what, for me, I was incredibly excited when I was doing this story of the book, because I could have also said, well, write an essay for me. No.
Yeah.
What I did is I started asking questions. Can you tell me how to write a New York Times best-selling book? What are the books that actually sell the most? What is the best title? What is this? What is that? And everything. It's everything. So what happened was I started working in conjunction with Lucy, which is my assistant, I repeat again. And she started giving me every single thing that I needed. And if you see the book itself, it's just incredible, because it was just basically crafted after a formula that I would have never known. But that's the whole thing. We should not be afraid of, okay, give me the answer. No. What questions can we ask so that we can actually grow and increase the power of our mind? And that is the big question.
So I think that the curriculums will need to start changing in all levels, in elementary, middle school, high school, and college, because it's been, as you say, obsolete for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. They haven't improved. And it's going to be a lot of challenge for also educators, professors, and not everybody is Professor Monroy that is been in this arena, in this field. So the challenge that we're going to be seeing coming up, they're big.
Yeah, so one thing that, for example, going back to the challenging education, something that I do, and because in a class that I teach in introduction to programming, it's very easy to go on a website and find code that students can put on a project or an assignment. Actually, ChatGPT can actually write code for you. So what I do for my class is that for the final project, I have one-on-one with it. They are in teams of two, and I ask them questions about the work that they did. So that serves several purposes. Number one, I am able to assess whether or not they were the ones who work on the code. Because if you work on the code, you know everything inside out. So that's one thing. But the other, I also I'm empowering them to learn how to explain technical aspects, because later on they are going to go to job interviews. And when I go to a job interview, then the question is, am I going to have ChatGPT answering the questions for me? Most likely not. And an employer is going to be asking questions. They want to see how I think. So those are two things that I do, because I am very interested in the pedagogical aspects of technology, and in my teaching, I introduce new things. So I'm very interested in those aspects. So those are ways in which I try to assess in different ways, and make sure that students are the ones who are doing the work. And again, I go back to what Ernesto was saying, because at the end of the day, what I want for them is to think that, and challenge them to say that, yes, they are capable of doing things that perhaps initially they found that they were difficult, but they are capable of doing that, and they should be able to do that. And perhaps these technologies could be tools that are going to empower them also and help them in order to be more productive and better at what they do.
Well, let's the call to action, as I always said at the end of the shows. I want to start with you, Ernesto. tell us about the book. How do we can find the book? Is going to be only online? Is going to be in a hardcover? How is going to happen?
Well, it's gonna be both. Right now, you can go to aiwhispering.com, and basically, once again, if you possibly remember the movie The Horse Whisperer, which is that you're, if you think about it, what you're doing is you're taming a beast. That's exactly what the whole thing is all about. And yes, I mean, my whole idea is to incorporate every single thing that I know about training and education and every single thing, put it together. And actually, it was something that I did together with
Lucy.
With Lucy. Correct. So I said, well, let's come up with a term where we're gonna mix artificial intelligence, neuro-linguistic programming, every single thing that it could be, and let's make something that could be easy for people to read and understand how the whole thing works. And it came up with the idea of calling this whole system generative fantasy. So everything is a novel. It's a story like in The Alchemist or like in the books from Ogmandino, that they tell you, well, this is what's going on, and you follow the story, and while you're following the story, you're learning. And my hope, once again, with the idea of helping as much people as possible understand the positivity, also the dangers, but I want to stay always in the positive instead of actually going there in the negative. So yeah, I would encourage everybody, including you, to become an AI whisperer, which is a very nice term of calling a prompt engineer. I believe, talking about education, I believe that, for example, right now, prompt engineers are going to be one of the hottest careers coming up. I was looking just before I came to the studio. I saw right now already an advertising on the newspaper, basically saying looking for prompt engineers. You know how much is this asking price for prompt engineers? $350,000 a year.
Oh, wow.
So I tell you, this is big.
So people can find your book on that website.
AI Whispering.
It's on the screen. They download the book.
Yeah, right now it's downloadable. Very soon it's going to be in Amazon. Then it's going to go to. It's going to be available also in print on demand, and I mean, it's great. Right now, it's also going to be in Spanish. I just got Editorial Porrua, which is one of the biggest editorials in Mexico, told me that they want to get it printed. So I'm very excited.
So we're going to send one link to Professor Monroy to read the book. We want your thoughts about the book.
I would love to absolutely.
So, Professor Monroy, give us your message with all this technology and everything that is going on with artificial intelligence and ChatGPT.
So I think I agree with what Ernesto is saying about that. Not be fearful. Don't fear the technology, but being cautious. So we have to be cautious about it and to learn the good things. That again, we can use that as a tool. As any tool or instrument that we humans use, we can use it for good or we can use it for not good things. But we have to be cautious. Again, embrace the positive things of these technologies. Absolutely, we were talking about bias. I'm biased because I am the computer science field, but absolutely, there are certain areas that are going to grow in terms of opportunities, as Ernesto was saying. And I will say I would encourage people to explore these areas because are going to be in high demand, and as again like we discussed earlier, are going to impact our lives and are impacting our lives. So being really take an active role in this in the emergence of this, in the development and implementation and dissemination of these technologies is very important because we are going to be impacted one way or the other. But again, don't fear the technology, embrace it, find the good things, but be also cautious at the same time.
Profesor Monroy, thank you so much. Muchísimas gracias. Y también necesitamos muchísima información sobre inteligencia artificial en español porque casi no hay. Así que también eso es bien importante, educar a nuestra comunidad de habla hispana, no solamente en los Estados Unidos, pero obviamente en Latinoamérica. Así que muchísimas gracias, profesor Monroy, por su tiempo y por supuesto lo vamos a volver a invitar aquí a TLC Live.
Encantado, muchas gracias Andrea por esta oportunidad y disponible cuando haya esa posibilidad. Ernesto también encantado y felicitaciones por el libro. Estoy a la espera, a la espera de poderlo adquirir y leerlo.
Te vamos a mandar, Ernesto se va a encargar de mandarte una copia. Muchísimas gracias,
Gracias por la
profesor
invitación.
Monroy. Muchísimas gracias también a la Universidad de San Tomás. Well, Ernesto, thank you so much. That was an amazing, interesting show. We've been learning. I mean, we can talk about this all day long.
Absolutely.
It's a lot of things that is going on. And also, we're going to keep hearing about this as everybody start getting to know this. I was reading that ChatGPT in 5 days got 1 million subscribers when it took that 1 million subscribers 3 years to Netflix to get 1 million subscribers. So that's what it says, how big this is going on. And that was only 5 days when they launched. I don't imagine how many millions.
120, right
120 millions?
120 million.
That is unbelievable. And this is going to be just to stay. I mean, this is not going nowhere. It's just going to get better and better, hopefully.
Absolutely. It is, I mean, right now, what makes me super excited is this story that I was telling you about, stacking. Stacking means, getting a little bit of artificial intelligence from one technology to another technology. Take it from video to pictures. Take it from pictures to whatever it is. Right now, for example, it's big. All these that you can take just a regular photo of even somebody that had died. I mean, you can take Abraham Lincoln or whatever. Connected, you stack the two technologies and you can make Abraham Lincoln speak. It's incredible. It's actually really crazy, which is another of those things that are also a fear, because of course with the deep fake technology, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to be affecting the campaigns.
Wow, that's crazy. Yes. Yesterday 2 days ago, I was telling somebody about the topic of the show, and he was like, maybe we need artificial intelligence politics because what we have right now is maybe not as intelligent.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ernesto. And thank you so much, Professor Monroy. And thank you so much, everybody, for tuning with us. And if you like this kind of shows, this information and everything that we've been doing at Texas Latino Conservatives, just like our video, share our video. We are live on Facebook and also in YouTube. Visit us, our website, become a member. It's TexasLatinoConservatives.com, TexasLatinoConservatives.com. Become a member. Help us to help. Help us to produce more shows like these, more leadership Latino classes, and everything that is gone with our cause and our mission and vision. Gracias, muchísimas gracias por habernos acompañado y nos vemos el próximo miércoles. Chao, chao.